Hey everybody, this is a talk that I gave in August of 2024 at DevFest Wisconsin in Madison. It was the last talk of the day, right after a break, and it was a pretty fun talk, so I hope everybody enjoys.
But now we're going to get back into it with our dear friend Ross Larson. So, I'm sure many of you in the room have met Ross before, or you may know him, but Ross became a software developer through the non-traditional path of obtaining a double major in psychology and French from Luther College. He later obtained a software development degree from Fox Valley Technical College, and now works as a software developer for Paradigm in Middleton. He currently serves on the board of Border Festival and has volunteered teaching computer science at a local high school through the TELOS program. He enjoys indie and retro video games, board games, the NFL draft, creating obscure fantasy leagues, and making charts. Please welcome Ross Larson.
Hi everybody. All right, so today I'm here to talk to you about finding your voice and becoming a tech speaker. Make sure you're in the right room. There's only one room. So as per the stellar introduction that was just provided, I am Ross. I am a second career software developer. So I spent some time in the grueling call centers. It is not time that I choose to remember fondly, but I'm here now, and I'm really happy about that. So yeah, I'm involved in a lot of things. I believe the first talk that I gave was in 2010 at a Linux user group meetup talking about Python. It was not a very good talk. Hopefully I have improved since then. If you want to follow along, here's the QR code to get to the slides. Also, you could also just go to rosslarson.com/slides and you can just see these slides anytime you want because they're public. So I see the QR code reading. Awesome, okay. So I'm going to start with the main point of this entire presentation. You can do this. And I'd like to help you. I'd like to help show you how. So first of all, say it with me. I have something of value to share with others.
I have something of value to share with others.
See, I believed in you the whole time. So let's do that together. Here's the rough structure of how I'm going to be talking about this. We're going to start by doing some exercises to help describe you and just help you understand yourself. We're going to go over ways of getting a little bit more comfortable with speaking. Then going over the process of trying to trying to be selected as a speaker at a place like this. And then the process from getting accepted to having a talk to actually having the talk occur. So let's start with learning about ourselves, and I like to think of our personal experience as the lens. Who you are helps give you the unique perspective that other people want to hear. You and your experiences are that lens that you view whenever you're looking at a subject, and I don't have your lens, and so your experience is the thing that matters to me. If possible, if you've got a writing utensil and any paper nearby, I'd like you to think about 3 to 5 things and write them down that are unique about you. Now, each individual thing might not be unique, but the combination of seemingly common things might make you unique. Examples are when, how, and where you grew up, what you chose to study, whether or not you randomly spent a semester on the west coast of France around 2000, which apparently I have in common with someone that was here today, which was great. So what you spend your time doing, your job, your hobbies, groups that you belong to. This group of things that you are writing down, this helps define the lens that you use when you're looking at new things and evaluating and thinking about them. So while you're writing, Also, I would like for you to write down something that you are proud of. Think about something that you've done recently that you are just proud of. Insights about these things that you are proud of can be useful to others, because if you feel good about them, likely there's something of value to share in that process. Another thing about speaking is finding something that you want to learn or to know how to do, and then tell somebody that you want to do it. Because I will tell you from experience, there is nothing like the fear of looking like an idiot in front of a bunch of people to encourage you to really, really understand a thing, and also understand it well enough to explain to other people. So think about what you would do if you weren't afraid, and then just do that. So another way to think about things that you care about are what are 3 subjects that you could tell me about today? No preparation, they're just already in the front of your room. So for example, on this slide, there is a screenshot of a game called No Man's Sky. That is an exotic ship. So I could speak to anyone for 5 minutes about the process of finding, collecting, and upgrading exotic ships in No Man's Sky. Whether or not that is a super useful bit of information is besides the point. The thing about it that's useful is defining the things that you care about and have knowledge and context for, because those things can help you understand and be able to contextualize how to communicate other similar things to people. So when you do this, also, a good thing for me to ask would be, have you ever played video games before? Have you heard of the game No Man's Sky? Have you played it before? Do you know anything about it? Talking to you for 5 minutes about this when you don't play video games is going to look a lot different from a person who's got 100 hours of gameplay in this game. And understanding where that audience is will help you when you're explaining a talk to someone. Another good question is, why do you want to speak? Are you trying to get better job prospects? Are you just trying to be more confident? Are you just doing it to help the community? Do you want to learn? Do you want to teach? Do you just want to connect? Do you want to share? None of these are bad reasons, but helping to define the reasons that you're doing it can help you give the motivation to start doing it and to figure out where you want that to be happening. Another thing, so over this break we talked about our worst mentor. Another way to think about that in kind of reverse is, what's the advice that you needed to hear? What did you need when you were starting out, or what did you need recently? Because you can now be that person and provide that advice for someone else in a way that maybe few other people can. So now you are all super interesting people with lots of stuff to share. Congratulations. Let's get a little bit more comfortable with speaking in front of people. It is, I believe, the #1 phobia other than like drinking. So it's not necessarily something that people are naturally going to be super excited to do, but you've already found things that you care about sharing. You know why you want to share it. You're getting the reasons behind why you want to be up here. The next thing is to try to demystify the process of like standing here and getting the job done. So there are ways to make this feel less bad. One of the ways to do it is to play a game or speaking related games. So there is actually a company called Ultra Speaking, which is pretty cool. They do a really hard sell to try to sell you like really high value, like cohort-based speaking tips, which I don't pay for, but one thing they do is free games relating to public speaking that get you comfortable with just thinking on your feet. So getting a new puppy is interesting because you've got energy and cuteness and the ability to post on Instagram or whatever. So it gives you the ability to start thinking about how you want to communicate in ways that are, broken fingers are exciting. Exactly. So like, all of this is nonsense, but the process of quick thinking can make you more effective when you're talking about a thing that's more relevant or matters more to you. Another way to interact with this is to do a lightning talk. How many people know what a lightning talk is? That's roughly half of us. A lightning talk is a short, often 5 to 10 minute focused presentation. These talks usually and quickly share a new idea, bring insight, or break down a topic. So it doesn't have to, this is not life, the universe, and everything. This is one thing that I care about, or one thing that's super frustrating to me, or one point that I want to make, spread out over about 5 minutes and maybe 20 slides. So do that. You can do it in front of people, you can do it not in front of people. Speaking of which, I don't have anybody to speak in front of. Well, great. That's not a problem. Most of us on the phone, if not, we have some sort of camera or video recording device. Turn it on. Give your talk. Or just speak to 3 to 5 minutes about the stuff that you cared about before. Speak as if you were talking to a friend, because hopefully you care about the person that's receiving the information you're trying to share. One of the best ways to do this is just do it. You can delete your first recording. You can delete your second recording. Keep at least one recording. The reason why is because you should review your footage. You can review yourself in one of 3 ways. You can do it sound only. You can do it video only, and you can do it video and sound. When you're looking at the footage, maybe with it on mute, you can notice, am I making any weird facial expressions? Or am I using way too much hands? Or am I just absolutely a shell of myself? The thing that we're trying to find here is, I don't want you to talk like me. I want you to talk like you. Just the authentic, comfortable, confident version. And finding all of the weird things that you look at and go, oh, I wasn't expecting that I was doing that. Cut those out. Keep the good stuff. Keep the authentic you. So, now you've got all this practice in. Find a meetup. Ask to speak. Now, typically, you just contact the organizer, indicate that you would be interested in speaking, and ask if they have any slots in the upcoming future. The first time that you do it's a bit scary. Every time that you do it is a little bit scary, but it gets less scary the more times that you do it. I will note that this advice is easier if you take a time machine back to the year 2019 when most of the meetups still existed. However, we are in a beautiful situation in that rock stars of the Madison meetup scene, like Sadiq and Hillary, are in this room and can still help you out. So you are in the right place to learn how to do this stuff. So you are now getting comfortable speaking. You've spoken in front of tens, maybe even 5s of people, and you did great. Let's now bring this experience to the conference level. Some quick notes about conference submissions. Even if you get selected as a conference speaker, that doesn't mean you're on some magic list. Not all conference submissions get accepted. Even longtime speakers average at least a 50% or more denial rate. Just because one session topic gets denied does not mean you're a horrible person with nothing of value to share with other people. It is a very common and expected part of the process. It is also very common to submit more than one idea to a conference. Not every single one of these ideas is a full presentation at this point. It should be a very well-formed idea, but not necessarily a presentation. You allow the market to decide the thing that you put all of your effort into. So, how does this process work? Usually there is a CFP process. This process is a call for speakers, call for presenters, call for papers. It's we want you to speak, please help us. You've been working on your speaking ideas. Now find these places that are looking for speakers. For example, DevFest likes having speakers. You've seen some of them today. There are some ways to get help with this. Understand what they want and when they want it by. Deadlines are a thing, and you should help your organizers out. You always want to be the type of speaker that makes an organizer's job easier, not more difficult. That doesn't mean that you don't need assistance or help. It just means you're communicating within the bounds and expectations of the call for presenters that have been put forth. So, work on your stuff, get any help from the organizers, get help from your community, submit your stuff on time. Hopefully things go well from there. Typically, nothing happens for several weeks after this. You just get to like stew alone in your thoughts and like say, maybe I'm really awesome, maybe I suck, maybe all of this validation is going to come from an email in a couple weeks. And then you either find out if you're right or wrong. So here's a tip. Track your ideas someplace. If every single time you read a call for presenters and you have a blank list of ideas, you're probably not going to be filling out a lot of presentation topics. If you have a list of the things that you care about, want to learn, want to speak about, or have spoken before anywhere, whether it's a notebook or a GitHub repository or a OneNote, anything that you use to kind of organize your life, organize your stuff there. Have a list of ideas, have a list of things that you care about, and then take from that rough edge of ideas in order to present to anyone who's looking for speakers. Now, another part of this process, the call for presenter process, you might spend hours putting this thing together, or maybe an hour. Different people, different timelines. Not every call for presenters process sends you a copy of what you sent them. So you might have already done this work, pressed submit, and watched it vanish into the ether. Don't let it vanish. Put it someplace so that you can say, this is the thing that I thought I was speaking about. It's useful. Don't let it disappear. Like, digital storage is cheap. So, how do I format these ideas? Well, I mean, don't just listen to me. You do it how it makes sense to you. But here's how I typically try to organize and store the ways that I track my ideas. I typically have a title, which is a brief, memorable, description. Sometimes it's catchy, sometimes it's cute. Honestly, don't do that for the most part. Just be descriptive. Talk about the thing that matters. Come up with something cute later. The format. So is this talk 20 minutes long? Is this talk an hour long? Is this a half-day workshop? Is this a round table that I'm not going to be speaking most of the time? Are there activities in the middle? Knowing that the way that this is put together is going to help you understand how much you need to prepare and the way you need to prepare. Another thing that's incredibly important, your audience and your outcomes. Who are you trying to talk to? Who do you think is going to be in the room? Understanding so for example, this talk, people who maybe haven't done a talk yet or are looking at being more comfortable in speaking would be the people that I would like to give this talk to. What are the outcomes? At the end of this talk, have I given you anything of value that you can then move forward with? If I don't have an answer to this, I have a crappy talk. So before you put this thing together, try to think of the things you want to give away. People aren't going to memorize all of your slides. It's just not how things work. Hopefully they get one or two good things. Like, hey, you can do this. And if that's the only thing you get from me, great, you can leave that. Way to go. But that's the main thing. You also want to keep track of just general mind maps, ideas, links to things that make you think of this idea, people who have given this talk in a similar context but with a different lens, that sort of thing. So that's the main stuff there. Now, we're finding a specific call for presenters. The organizers group of DevFest Wisconsin, I've noticed that this is their exact call for presenters this year. So, you see, what do they care about? The theme is inclusivity. When do you need to have stuff by? May 5th. What are the types of topics they care about? Public speaking. Great. How about I give this talk? Apparently that worked out. How do I ask for help? Now, not every idea is going to come fully formed out of the womb, ready to give an hour talk about it. That's not how things work. So, finding ways to ask for help is one of the most important parts of getting your first, second, and third kind of speaking experiences under your belt. Look through the official channels. For example, they indicate the organizing group of DevFest Wisconsin is open and encouraging people who want to work on being a presenter to provide mentorship directly. So the first place to ask for help, the official channels, the people who are asking for the presentations. If there isn't an official place there, look and see if they have a Slack, look and see if they have a Discord, look and see if they have social media presences of some sort. Follow them there, reach out, ask questions. Lacking those things, start reaching out into your personal network. Find out people who have done talks, ask them how that works. Generally, find people who have the experience that you want, ask them questions, listen to their feedback, give them something that shows that you've worked on the thing that they talked about. So yeah, lather, rinse, repeat. Ask for suggestions, get feedback, get better stuff, get more feedback. Usually end up with something that shows that you've been doing more thought about it than the normal, hey, I'm gonna put AI into something, watch me. Like, honestly, that would probably get accepted, but don't do that. Yeah. So, submitting to a conference, some conferences are more complicated than others. Some conferences use a big, huge, genericized version of presentation ideas called sessionize. Some conferences use like a home-built page that has a bunch of editable fields that are unique only to a particular conference. Sometimes it's just a Google form. You fill out the form, you press submit, it's gone. Knowing what type of conference and what kind of form you're working with is very useful. Number one, determine whether your entry can be edited or not after you press the submit button. If it can't, make sure that you're happy with it before you press submit. If it can, understand when the actual deadline for the content being done is, and make sure you're done by that. Well, a couple weeks went by. I just got an email that says, I'm going to be speaking, so now what? Well, let's get you ready for the talk. Not everyone does this. This is not a requirement, but I am a little scatterbrained when I think of talks. And so maybe I have one big idea, and some stuff here, and some stuff there, and some stuff all kind of everywhere. And so I find it useful when I'm talking about a general concept to make a mind map. I start with the main subject, I put any general main points of the subject back out there, and then I add as much as I think is relevant to each of those parts. One thing that's very useful to that is it lets me just link blog posts, YouTube videos, things, thoughts, sentence fragments, whatever. This is not my final form of presentation, but what it helps me get, it helps get me to someplace that says, I have 4 main points. One of those main points is bigger than the others. Maybe I'll have more slides of that. Or maybe there's just more information, but it actually doesn't merit for like 75% of this talk, so I need to filter all of this information down to 4 or 5 good slides. Basically, once the map is done, the slides are easy, because I'm not going through, I'm trying not to make mistakes in production, basically. I'm just trying to map out all the things I might want to talk about, and then pick from here the stuff that's actually useful. Well, let's find a good template, because templates are really what matters. Actually, don't put in too much effort here. I would say the thing that you're looking for is look for something that's consistent and authentic to who you are and the subject that you're trying to communicate. Which, if this is, if you're talking about, if you're going to be talking about creativity and thinking outside the box, having white slides with black text, maybe not helping you in that communication. If you're talking about something less interesting, having this slide template either is an intentional choice because you're a wild, wacky person, or it's taking away from your presentation by being way too busy. Figure out who you are, what you're trying to talk about, and only then does your template help you out, or is it something to be ignored? Making your slides. So when making your slides, don't put everything up on your slides, because if you can read your presentation directly off your slides, you don't have slides. You have notes. And if too much information on the slides, then the audience doesn't know whether to pay attention to the slide slides for you. And sometimes images can help instead of big long text. Large amounts of text on the screen can be very, very distracting. So anyways, don't do that. So if you're looking for what should my slides look like, less is more. It's not as busy as the last slide, but it's going to communicate a lot of the same information. Only the most useful information goes on the slide. You are the person that gives it the context. You are the person giving it value. Let people pay attention to you. The slide helps you. You don't help the slide. Different slide formats are good for different content. Sometimes you just want an image of it. Sometimes you want an image in bullets. Sometimes you want an image in a thing of text. Understand the general formats of slides and which one is going to help you make the point that you're trying to make. Presentation notes help you communicate the most important information, but they don't have to be something that everybody has to see. Not everybody has to see the big long thing of saying, don't spend too much time on this slide, or here's 5 things that I actually want to get across. Also, make sure that in your slide, there is a slide asking for questions. Don't make people applaud for you twice. Because when you say, I'm done, claps. Are there any questions? Maybe none, maybe some. And then like a significantly less enjoyable applause. Like go out on the applause where people meet it. So that's advice for people. So, we've got our slides done. Way to go, everybody. So the night before the presentation, what do? Hopefully not freak out. Here are ways to not freak out as much. Pick out clothes that are comfortable and help you feel confident. What kind of clothes those are depend on the person. Part of that depends on how much you know about the presentation that you're going to be doing. For example, here is a podium. Here is a mic. I don't have a lavalier. I don't have to hang anything on anything, so I don't have to worry about where the mic will go. Because the mic's already here, I don't have to touch it. If you do, think about where the mic goes. Practice your slides so you have a good idea of how it's going to go. It's very useful, now that your slides are done, to have an understanding of, 20 minutes in, I should probably be this far. So that when I look down and I look at the clock, and either 15 minutes have gone by or 30, I know I need to slow down or I need to speed up, so that everybody gets all of the stuff that I was so excited to share about. Make any last minute changes, pack your bag, get some sleep, or as much as you can. People have nerves, it's natural. So talking about our bag, what should be in the bag that you bring when you're doing a presentation? Generally, have things with you that keep you confident and healthy. Also have the things that you need to present. Not all presentations have a provided laptop. Make sure you have your laptop. Make sure there's a AC adapter so that you don't run out of batteries in the middle. Make sure it has updates so that there aren't updates. Also, make sure you have the cords or adapters that you need to be able to present. Usually you need to get to HDMI nowadays. So if you've got a fancy thing and you need to live the dongle life, bring your dongles. Don't make other people like responsible for your dongles. Like, do your own dongles. So usually what follows after you speak is that people say, you're interested, way to go, how do I connect with you? Some people do business cards. Some people have places on the internet that are easily available. I'm at rosslarson.com, so I don't carry business cards, because hopefully you can Google. But generally just plan a way for people to be able to keep in touch with you if they find anything that you say has value. This might be as simple as a piece of paper. Some people will just take a notebook and write down all the people that were interesting during a conference on a piece of paper. Doesn't have to be technologically crazy. You can just do the thing that makes sense to you. Okay, it's presentation day. There are always nerves. It is natural. I was nervous today. I've given a dozen of these things. It'll never go away. But hopefully you got some good sleep. Make good food choices that are authentic to you. I eat boring food before I present. I don't have a huge appetite before I give presentations. So I make sure to honor that and not, get spicy, loco, whatever stuff, because that's not going to work for me. Listen to your body. Your body over the course of getting ready for a presentation is going to tell you, I'm nervous, I've got too much energy, I'm feeling sluggish, whatever. Listen to your body. Give it what it needs. Sometimes it's water. Tell yourself, I can do this. Give yourself some positive talk. Because if you're giving yourself only negative thoughts leading up to a presentation, there's a chance that that's what you're going to be focusing on in the presentation. Be nice to yourself. So leading up to your talk, you're probably going to need one of two things. You're going to either need to amp up because you want to have more energy when you get on stage, or you're going to need to chill out because you're already way too nervous and you just want to be at a place where you're not thinking about being too nervous to do the things that you're wanting to do. Like, am I on a stage? Oh, is there room under the stage that I can hide if this is going wrong? Okay, which side? Probably there. You know, so I guess do your thinking ahead of time, I guess. Put your phone into do not disturb mode. Don't have it on. You don't want to be getting a text message while you're presenting. You've got enough stuff to think about. Another thing that you can do is you can set up yourself to record yourself. Because then the camera is away from you, the phone is away from you. You just don't think about your phone while you're talking. Other presentation advice. Speak clearly and confidently. Allow your practice and your work to shine through. For every hour that I speak in front of people, I usually spend 20 to 40 preparing for it. So at this point in time, I'm just excited to tell you about the stuff that I've been spending time on. I'm not worried about filling up that time anymore. So just be happy that you can share information. That's the thing that people want. That's the reason why they're here, hopefully. And just, if they're not, convince them. Be aware of the clock. Leave time for questions. Speaking of that, since this is a talk that is about you and not me, I want to give you time to ask questions. There's one other thing. This is emergency water. If you start coughing, drink it. If you don't have emergency water with you when you're doing a presentation, find some. Luckily, I don't need it today, but it's always useful. Anyway, anybody, questions? Everybody knows everything? You guys are great.
Hey, Ross, great talk. For some of the high stakes presenting that I've done, I've got a couple other things to that if I add to your list.
Sure. I am giving more, hey, come to a friendly place and do a tech talk advice, not put your life and business on the line presentation.
Yeah. The first one is high stakes, right?
That's true.
So, because I've encountered just about everything that can go wrong, so I'll put PowerPoint and PDF versions of my presentation on a thumb drive in case my tech isn't working or if the presentation, because I've been like, I couldn't email somebody something because the wireless was out, and that way you just got the bases covered. Having a laser pointer, sometimes people like, I always forget that, so I show up and I'm laser pointers. This is more than and then embedding fonts in the presentation.
All
I get missed and then the slides come up and they're all jumbled.
So moving back to the day before advice, you're probably amped up, you've probably got extra energy. What are things you can spend it on? In the most healthy way possible, think of everything that will go wrong. Prepare a plan for everything that can go wrong. There's no internet. The PowerPoint's wrong. The things are gone. My computer has updates. Bring 2 laptops. Bring your slides on a thumb drive. Have 4 or 5 contingency plans. Plan for absolutely everything to go wrong, so then when most things don't go wrong, it is an excellent surprise and not a horrible thing when one single thing goes wrong during the presentation. You don't want to focus on all of the negative thoughts, but do prepare for contingencies. The more prepared you are for contingencies, the less you look like you are tap dancing and anxious in front of people who want you to succeed. So if at any point you can make that easier for yourself, do that work. Any other questions?
No question, but another piece of advice, if you want to, or suggestion. Boo-boos will happen. Encourage that. Have fun with it. Go with
Correct.
the flow.
You will mess up. Maybe only you will notice. Probably other people will notice too. That's fine. Like, again, most of the time in a context like this, people want you to succeed. Take that energy and run with it. Because they don't want you uncomfortable, you don't want you uncomfortable. So figure out a way to not be uncomfortable. Obviously, easier said than done sometimes. Go read you had something?
I was just going to say, speaking of being prepared, they gave us a laptop at the union, but not a charger. Well, we brought one.
Right? Even when you're told, hey, a laptop and a charger will be provided, like accessories will be provided. You know what? Bring some extra just in case.
Yep.
No one is going to complain that you were over-prepared, other than maybe your significant other, and that's a you and significant other. But yeah, it's plan for the unplanned. Then when it does happen, you look oddly prepared, which is usually not a bad look. Anybody else? Yep.
What do you use for software or site to make your mind maps live, where you have like little YouTube video clips in there?
Yes.
It's just like it looked it looked like it was it would be a handy resource.
Sure.
And it wasn't like structured where like all things were.
So I use a tool called Coggle, C-O-G-G-L-E. It is an online free tool that you can use to make mind maps. I think you can make 5 private mind maps, but unlimited public mind maps. So a thing about presentations, some people feel that their presentation is like, okay, in the context of a tech conference, not a startup or something like that. I don't think that there's any value in these slides. I hope that most of the value is in me. So you can have this. And I don't feel like any of these ideas are something that I need to jealously guard like a dragon. If you want to see it, go ahead. And so because of that, I don't mind publicly sharing really any of the process.
Yeah, again, going back to what you said earlier in your talk, the purpose of your talk, the thing that makes it interesting is your lens. And so somebody else could take this exact same slide deck, give this talk, and it would be different from their perspective.
And I would hope it to be so. If all of the value is in those words in my presentation notes, then I feel bad about what I brought to the presentation. And so, yeah, if you can give someone else's talk with a different lens first, ask them if you can borrow their stuff. But yeah, honestly, sometimes the lens is the only difference, and it's the thing that provides the most value. So, 100%.
What's your favorite, some of your favorite strategies for looking audiences engaged?
I was a camp counselor in college, and so I had to keep like squirrely elementary and middle schoolers engaged. I have found personally that I can usually joke around or be self-deprecating and keep people in and around the point that I want to get to. I'm not going to guarantee that that's going to work for everyone. Everyone's going to have to figure out their own way to keep people engaged. Maybe it's good points, sometimes it's inflections, it's varying in voice, getting really close to the mic, just getting away from the mic, talking around, like make something memorable, and maybe it is, I know I've got a slide where there's a lot of stuff to talk about. Maybe I got a room to work now. Like, understanding where in your presentation that you think things are getting dense and that you might need to do it is something that you can do ahead of time. Listening to the audience only comes in practice, so just keep doing it. And the nice thing about doing it in an in-person atmosphere instead of on Zoom is in person, you can usually tell when people are getting bored. And on Zoom, you have no idea. So I prefer doing it in person now because there's just no feedback mechanism almost at all in a virtual presentation.
Can you remind us the name of the public speaking game you mentioned?
Ultra Speaking, all one word. They give you a bunch of stuff for free, and then they will hound you to buy like a $2,000 cohort speaking class. Don't buy, buy it if you find the value and you have the resources. But also, just use their free resources, don't feel bad. There's also other people that do public speaking exercises like Toastmasters.
Yep.
Like there are local ways of doing this in addition to online tools. Those games are just an easy way to be like, I want to work on this now for 5 minutes. You can go from, I'd like to do this, to doing this in less than 5 minutes, which is nice.
How do you, like, what would you say your percentage of breakdown is of like you see a conference and then you try to come up with an idea targeted towards like, you know, DevFest inclusivity and sort of more like generalist stuff versus like how much of it do you have ideas rattling around in your head and you like work from your idea?
So how do you know what to submit?
Yeah, like just broadly like the ideation kind of going from like.
Okay, I have a couple thoughts on that. So first, I have kind of 3 levels of talk ideas. Level 1 is a talk I've already given. Like, the work is done. I can mostly just show up and give it at that point because all of the hard work's already completed. The second is ideas that I feel very strongly about, but no one has agreed with me yet. So there's a fair amount of thought and feedback that has gone into those ideas. Usually they have themes. And so sometimes you can say, oh, this is a nearly fully formed idea that I just know fits with the thing that this conference is looking for. That's a great place to be during the call for presenter process because that work is already done. I then have another group of just, hey, stuff I was thinking about, or stuff that is interesting but isn't most interesting if I'm a person looking at slides and pointing at things. Like some topics just suck in this format, and that's okay. But there are other ways of giving information like unconferences, open spaces, bar camps, ways that you can get at a table and say, I feel very strongly about this. I have maybe 2 minutes worth of information to share, but what I really want is to hear other people. Hearing other people when you're the only person with a mic isn't always the best format. And so try to remember the format that you're trying to get and the outcomes that you're hoping for when trying to build something that you want to give value to people for. Anybody else? Oh, yeah.
I think a thing that I don't know that I knew when I first started speaking was you don't have to have written the talk in order to submit the CFP. Like it can literally just be all the information that you have to submit, and then you make the rest up once you get accepted.
100%. 100%. I mean, again, it's different people will have different confidence levels and risk tolerances with something like this. If you're submitting to 12 conferences, all with separate ideas, and then 12 different ideas get suggested or get accepted, you are screwed. But if you have 1 or 2 ideas that you're only going to give at 1 or 2 conferences over the course of a year, then you just have fun things to work on over the next 6 to 12 months. So like figure out the time you have to put into it. Figure out the amount that you'll need to prepare between it getting accepted and it getting performed. And definitely, I've definitely given how to learn a programming language before learning the programming language, knowing that there would be 6 months between the time that they said yes and when I would have to do it. And I knew what would I be doing for the next 6 months.
This is the tiniest correction. You're not actually screwed because simply the fact that your talk got accepted, you could turn down that acceptance.
Yes. Everyone has the ability to say no. I personally don't want to be a person that submitted to someone, was accepted over someone else, and then tells that organizer no. That's a personal thing, not a standard thing.
Yes, so as an organizer, I'm 100% okay with people saying, you know what, I really thought I was going to be able to do this, and it turns out like my priority shifted, I can't make it, whatever. Like let us know as soon as possible. It's 100% okay.
Okay, so bring that up. 3 weeks ago I had COVID, so I didn't know I was going to be up here until a couple of weeks, like 10 days ago. I wanted to communicate as soon as possible to organizers anything that comes up. So if you do get accepted but you can't do it, don't wait until the presentation and no-show. Communicate, like fail fast, communicate faster. Like you want to make organizers' lives easy, they are doing a service for the community, don't make anything harder for them.
Thank you.
Yeah. In conclusion, I want to come back to the beginning. You can do this. Speaking in public is something that you can do, and I believe in you. So, thanks for coming.